Hey guys, a lot of people ask me to do a submarine video, and well, here it is. It's not perfect. I will let you know this. I did subs for a while, and I stopped playing subs because my team needed me to play other ships. So I apologize in advance that this is happening on a drum. That, and I didn't really get any of the good four-star commanders you need for an effectively good sub. But on with that, using the tier 6 drum, probably one of my favorite subs in the game for power fore and aft. You know, a 6-4 launcher, you just lack in AA, so airplanes are not your friends. But basically, what it boils down to is when it comes to sub commanders, you really are kind of stuck with high level commanders being the priority. Now, a lot of people talk about different commanders when it comes to subs, and honestly, I would have to say I don't know. It's hard to explain this, but starting at the top in the captain's position, Carl Donitz right here. He's Seawolf Torpedo. His captain ability increases torpedo range by 10% and damage by 5 for 30 seconds. A good ability to reach out and hit somebody and add a little extra damage on top of it. You know, you're looking at 5% of, let's just say, 3,000 damage for a torpedo. You know, that realistically not a whole lot, but it'll stack up if you can consecutively hit torpedoes. But really, the big thing, Carl Donuts, unfortunately, unlike Gunther Lutjens, who is an amazing battleship captain, Carl Donuts is a very great submarine captain in a lot of different ways for people. You know, and this is my personal take for a submarine that has got a good defense against DDs. You know, if you're a submarine that you're lone wolfing it, there are a couple of things I recommend differently. But for somebody with a DD who has a great or a sub with a good DD backup and possibly a light cruiser to back you up, Carl makes an amazing captain. What we deal with here is Carl's, well, just starting as 4-star. Torpedo Ready, which grants a 50% chance to decrease torpedo reload time by 30% when an enemy ship has been hit by torpedoes. So for 30 seconds, you have a 50% chance to get 30% reload. Naturally, a lot of subs run chain loader already to cut that reload down, so if that proxies, you have a 40% reload already. That's awesome. Huge. Beautiful reload speed right there. Underwater King increases underwater speed by 2 knots when he's a captain. Enhanced torpedo speed 2, which increases torp speed by 1.5%. For Japanese ships, that's important. It's a correlated increase of speed for overall torpedoes. Japanese torpedoes, slow but powerful. German torpedoes, fast but light duty. And Americans are kind of right in the middle there for torpedo speed. They're not incredibly fast, but they're also not stupid slow, and they're decently powerful. So, you know, slow and powerful, fast and dinky, right in the middle ground. So, you know, no matter what, torpedo speed increasing is better because it allows you to aim trajectories and they clear distances faster than normal. Wolfpack Tactics increases oxygen regen by 8%. So when you're on the surface, you're getting your oxygen back faster, and that is imperative for subs because the less time on the surface that you can get hit by primary weapons, the better. Um, you know, allowing you to free dive a lot more constantly. Like if planes are coming in or a DD's coming in to try and hit you with his primaries, you know, being able to get up, get your oxygen, get back down is huge. Following that, your decrease in surface and dive time by 1 second. So if it's 3 seconds to go up and down, now it's 2 seconds to go up and down, not counting anybody else's decrease or to dive time and surface time. So that's huge on its own. And lowers underwater oxygen consumption by 5% when assigned as captain. So here's two abilities that are kind of like four abilities as a captain. Oxygen consumption being reduced by 5% is huge. Stay underwater longer, stay hidden longer, stay deep dived longer, stopping the ability for subs to be seen. Now, what's really cool about him is when he goes to legendary, he loses torpedo speed and increases torpedo damage by 8% when assigned as captain. So now you have 2 knots, torpedo damage, oxygen regen, surface and dive time, and lower consumption of oxygen by 5%. This stacks yourself as a captain, which he gives you one, two, three, four, five abilities as a captain, not counting his captain ability. So torpedoes now increased 8% damage. That means, you know, with the captain ability, that's going to increase, what is that, 13% more damage. On 3,000, that's significant. That's a little over 300 extra damage per torpedo. That can make the difference. I can't tell you how many times somebody's lived at like 300 health because I just didn't hit him hard enough with a torpedo. Now, when it comes to the gunner, anyways, Carl's Donuts, great offensive captain if you are protected. If you are protected. Now, gunner position. Running that, you have a couple of different options. Um, where is he? Jung. Let's take a look at Jung here. Jung's also a 4-star German. You'll notice that Germans are really, really, really proficient at submarines, obviously, in the war. There was an obvious reason for that. So, you can see here his change of stack for potential to giant killer. Um, he has Rush from the Depths as a captain ability. Now, people argue about this one up and down all the time, and, I am split on it, and I honestly don't think that's great. So we'll leave it at that. Personal preference, you guys can take it. I don't see it. Potential being his 4 to 5-star ability. 4-star, you get potential, which increase main artillery reload and aiming speed by 10% and decrease flight deck. Not really something a sub commander should have. Really, it's kind of awkward that it would be there. Now, when he goes to legendary, he gets giant killer, which is destroying it and increases your reload stack, which is awesome. So we're going to leave him at 5-star. Now, deep sea fishing increases submarine's torpedo reload speed by 8% when assigned as your gunner. So you have 8% from him, and you have 10% from your chain loader, so you're instantly 18% faster at reloading. That's huge. Subs that can get torpedoes out quicker means ships can't escape, and DDs have a harder time getting in on them because they're reloading torps, and they can throw them every which way. His oxygen air tank increases oxygen recovery speed by 5%, capping with Carl Donuts. Your recovery speed is now, 8.5, so that's 13% faster. And he has enhanced water storage too, and decreased diving time of submarines by 0.3 seconds. So now your dive time is 1.3 seconds faster, thanks to June and Carl Donuts. While a lot of people might not have these two, unfortunately, I'm just telling you what is a great setup in proficiency. Another thing to notice is going to be a 3-star Japanese guy by the name of Koga Shinsuke. Now, Koga, unfortunately for me, is 4-star because I use him on my DDs a lot. But what's great about Koga is if you um, have Koga on there at 4-star, he doesn't need to be 5-star because for your subs, it's more of a 5-star ability for DD, but I'll just run it over anyways. As a gunner, you get Giant Killer, so you wouldn't technically have to get Jung Schubert up to 5-star. You could get it with Koga at, I think it's 3-star? Yeah. Um, but what you then gain is Torpedo Reloader 4 at 5-star. It changes the other reloader. Basically, torpedo reload speed for DDs, cruisers, battleships, anybody is decreased by 10%. He increases your max speed by 1 knot, and he has Oxygen Torpedo, which increases torpedo range by 10 and damage by 8 when assigned as your gunner. So, you can argue the point of range and damage by 8%, or you can grab reload speed by 8%. So it's kind of one of those, who do you want to go with a little bit better? Jung is definitely overall a little bit better at subs with dive time, oxygen tank, deep sea fishing for reload. June, Koga Shinsuke giving you a surface knot, the giant killer ability, and the reload not being counted. So you've got 1 knot, giant killer, and range and damage by 8%. Realistically, it's kind of a toss-up for you and your personal choice at that point. If you like being underwater, you might end up going with June. But as far as the gunner's position, though, those are the two really good shots for that position. Otto Kretschmer is also a gunner position captain. He increases torpedo reload, increases durability and repair of weapon parts, not the ship parts, though he does increase durability by 1%, and he has potential as good listener, but I think the ability is good listener, and they just translated it incorrectly. But at legendary, he gains max durability by 3%, so he overhauls the ship 3 extra percent health. Not really horribly useful. Another 4-star a lot of people talk about is Gunther Preen, but he really needs to be captain to use his Underwater King. Torpedo ready, you already get. Enhanced Heal is just keeping parts from breaking, and he increases disguise 1%. Not really the best 4-star German sub commander out there, unfortunately. But That being the thing. Now, next on to steersman. This switches back over. A couple of people kind of will flick between the two and tell you, hey, this guy or this guy. Personally speaking, Fujiwara Makoto, because he has ventilation system and decrease oxygen consumption by 10% when assigned as your steersman, decreased dive time, deep breaths, and deep sea dweller. Um, a little extra bulbous protection, but he does reduce oxygen consumption by 10% when assigned as your steersman. So let's recap this. He's got 10. Carl Donuts is going to give you 5, so there's 15. And if you grab Junged, um, he basically gives you recovery speed. So you're looking at Donuts and Fujikawa giving you 15% better underwater consumption of oxygen. Now, why is that useful? Because that means you can stay underwater a hell of a lot longer than a lot of other subs. 15% is huge. It's hard to explain how 15% cuts down that consumption from, like, let's say 0.4% to, let's say, 0.35. That's significant in the long run of your overall consumption rate, depending on the subs. Subs are all different, so a 15% decrease to consumption on, let's say, that point 0.4, so you're looking at point 0.4 is what you use per second, but you times that by 0.15, that cuts off 0.06, so you're down half second basically. So you're down to 0.034 for oxygen consumption. Seconds count. That could be the difference between you being seen and you not being seen. So, there is that. Now, deep breaths, he has to get to legendary, which is kind of painful, but he gets to level 10. Now, however, his battle power is pretty high for a sub. Honestly, getting him to level legendary you don't really need, though it would be good. It just, there's other commanders that could peel you in a lot better. Following Fujikawa, a lot of people, myself included, for the meantime, run Eric Reeder on a sub. He has deep breaths already, which is huge. It proxies quite often, surprisingly. Often you can go up and down. He increases your max knot and he increases torpedo by 2%. His excellent ability, not really useful. Deck, armor, and belt bulge, 3%. Not really going to stop a lot in the sub because it's 3% of a very low number. You're not even a triple digit number in a lot of cases. But his legendary ability is increases max speed by 2 knots. Not really worth it. So you're looking at 1,000 for 1,000 qualifications for the deck armor, and then you're looking at 2,500 for an extra knot. To be perfectly honest, not freaking worth it. That's 3,500 qualifications for 3% armor and 1 knot. 3,500 qualifications can buy you a way better commander, or you literally can level up Fujiwara here. Excuse me, Fujiwara here. Now, last but not least, you have the tech slot. The German commander, where'd you go? Lucas Schneider. Now, Lucas Schneider is an amazing guy. One big thing about subs is not having to worry about repairing your parts, because when you get Lucas to legendary, not only is his repair ability massive, he's 176, he'll crank up the repair of the ship naturally, which allows you as a sub-commander not have to repair parts individually. You let him do it himself. Master Fixer increases the repair speed 10% when assigned as your engineer. So not only does he have his natural stack from his battle power and his stars, but he also has his own 10% on top of that. So what happens is if a part gets damaged, his ability as a master fixer is he's going to repair that part almost as quickly as you can hit the repair and then pick the part specifically, which is huge because then you don't have to take your eyes off of what you're doing. Also, when you get him to legendary, he gains that second knot that Eric Reeder has. And to be perfectly honest, in the repair position, that's actually more useful for him to be able to repair stuff on the fly. He also has New Air and Tank, which increases oxygen recovery by 5, and he has Silent Cruiser at, I think it's 4-star. No, he gets that right out the gate. Yeah, he gets Silent Cruiser out the gate. It's the speed and the repair that he gets at 4-star. Excuse me. Now, what's great about Silent Cruiser is you get the chance to increase disguise by 5 when diving and increase speed by 1 knot during submersion. Last 30 seconds. Huge proxy. Gets you down faster. Bam. Bam. Dive, get out of the way, hide. That is huge. And to be perfectly honest, he's very useful on a lot of subs. Now, his fast dive I don't really need because you already get that from the other commanders at all times. Now, yeah, it would help because you could fast dive on top of that, but honestly, I don't think fast dive is all that great when you compared to June, or not June, but Carl Donuts' ability as captain. So you would run Lucas Schneider in the rear, and these are captains that you may or may not have. I try to run the captains a lot of people have, not counting the 4-star. Eric Reeder I threw on comms for his deep breaths, his max speed, and his torpedo, and he's got a high battle power, so he helps sonar frequency. Fujiwara, I've a lot of these guys I had up higher, but I dumbed them down because I stopped playing subs. So I apologize that you don't see a lot of their abilities and their percentages being higher. As you can see, Eric's 8, Lucas is 7, and Fuji's 7. Koga's got a lot more use because he traded over with DDs, and then this was going to be the oddball out. For a sub, Casper Moss is actually not bad because he gives you the scouting range, the knot, and the steering performance, which is great for sub. You can dodge torpedoes much quicker. And Battle Instinct. A sub doesn't really have good radar, so if you pop Battle Instinct and you'll know you get spotted, um, it helps a lot. Now, I only have Casper up there simply because I don't have one of the 4-stars. So you're seeing my decent sub crew, which is allowing me a lot of damage, a lot of maneuverability. But honestly, like I said, I most definitely wish, I had the 4-star captains, June and Carl Donuts. Carl obviously is going to be first who I buy compared to everybody else, but you know, that's a quick rundown of sub-commanders. I'll get something a little more in-depth if people would like it, but this was just kind of a quick idea on who to have on your subs to help you be pretty effective against everything and have a decent power and maneuverability and oxygen recovery slash consumption setup. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment, ask, if you have any tips, for some of the older guys, put them in here. But as far as what I would say is a decent setup, that would be a good submarine setup. Work it how you work in a team. Have a setup for your solo play, have a setup for your team play, have a solo setup for your pub group play. Because a sub has a lot of roles to fill, and sometimes you have to fill them on your own. But if you have any questions, guys, go ahead and just let me know, and we will get it set up. And if you have any questions, again, post them up on